Hello, everybody, and welcome to the InnoSchool closing conference. My name is Wana Mudura, and I will be the moderator of today's online event. We were supposed to meet in person, but due to the conditions, here we are online. I'm very happy to be part of this project, and congratulations to everybody involved in the project for all the work. You chose a really wonderful mission. InnoSchool is an Interreg Danube transnational program that tackles the need for system to change to support the weak entrepreneurial culture and low engagement to social innovation and entrepreneurship already in adolescent age. So the InnoSchool pilot was implemented this school year in 83 schools from 9 European countries. This highly innovative concept helped the schools, the teachers, and especially the 1,767 students involved gain new knowledge, new skills and experience about social entrepreneurship. So during this conference, you will be able to learn more about the new InnoSchool X version and what are our future plans for the ILS. Also, thanks to our panel discussion, which will be held in the second part of this online event, InnoSchool and the next steps in social entrepreneurship, you will find out directly from policy body representatives how they see InnoSchool in the next years. So this is the welcoming word, and yes, we were supposed to meet in person today, but due to the conditions, we are on Zoom, but we would like to get you in the mood of the conference and into the spirit of Budapest, and we would like to show you beautiful images. So yes, stay tuned. That's where we should have been today, but yes, we were happy to see the beautiful images of Budapest. And I would like to welcome the first speaker of today's conference, Mr. Ákos Szépoldi, the Managing Director of the Central Trans-Danubian Regional Innovation Agency non-profit. Ákos, welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone present today. It's a great pleasure to host this event. My duty here is not to get a professional speech, but just to welcome you. We all know that this is a really important point of this nice InnoSchool journey, and I'm really happy to read the chat that greetings coming from different countries. So we are here from all across the Danube region, and we are happy to share with you the most important results of the InnoSchool project. And we see this event as a meeting point, so not a even it's the closing event of the project, but we hope that it's a good ground. It will be a good ground for further cooperation and collaboration. By checking the attendance list, we have seen that many different stakeholder groups are here. So from schools to municipalities, from companies to students. All are really welcome, and this was one of the main goal of the InnoSchool project, to cooperate with different stakeholder groups and get them together to think over together how can we make a change on the entrepreneurship culture for secondary school students. So I just wish you a really great event today, and in the name of the whole partnership, I can say that we are really happy and open for any further collaboration and any further discussions. So enjoy the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Agosh, and welcome to everybody who's joining the conference. We see a lot of participants saying hello from the participant countries. Hello to everybody. And I would like to welcome Simona Starinska to give us a welcome word. Simona is a researcher for the Technical University of Košice in Slovakia. Within the project, she was responsible for the impact questionnaires. She is also the contact person for new participating schools, translator, and game tester. Simona, welcome.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Anna, for the word. Can I start the presentation right now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, do you see the presentation?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, thank you very much. So, hello again, everybody. My name is Simone, and today I will present you the innovative learning system. This presentation was supposed to be held by my colleague, Dr. František Janke, but however, he is ill, so I will take his place. I hope you will enjoy this presentation. This presentation is for the ones who already played the game, but also for the ones who have never maybe had a look at it. So InnoSchool learning system is an innovative learning system developed by 11 project partners from 9 European countries for secondary school students with the aim of improving the entrepreneurial skills, such as critical thinking or people management, then strengthening the perception of social problems and challenges, and supporting the creation of social innovations. Okay, I've been talking about these social problems, but what are social problems? Social problem is a condition or behavior that has a negative consequence for a large number of people, and that is generally recognized as a condition or behavior that needs to be addressed. That's why this game is addressing social problems in a way of social enterprises. This project took approximately 3 years, and the project partners were from Austria, Czech Republic, Slovak Republic, Hungary, Bulgaria, Serbia, Romania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Moldova. There are 4 key elements of our learning system, and I will talk about each of them briefly. The first and the most important one is a serious game. But why is a game serious? Okay, first of all, a game is a game and is supposed to be played, and the students are supposed to have fun. However, since it's for the education, they couldn't just have the fun, they are supposed to learn something. So that's why we call the game serious, because the main objective is also to learn something or to practice a skill. Our serious game is a responsive web-based application, which means that you do not have to download or install any additional software. You simply need a computer with access to the internet and enabled sounds, because the game contains some videos that will guide you through the game. Next element is guidance for teachers in the form of a teacher's handbook. This handbook is actually a manual on how to operate the system and also contains some relevant support and recommendations for teachers to reach greater learning impact for students. Additionally, there is a training platform. This platform contains short and easy to understand video tutorials in all supported languages to support teachers in InnoSchool's usage. These video tutorials are especially useful for teachers who are just starting with the ILS and might find it confusing to search for everything in the teacher's handbook. Also, there are frequently asked questions answered in here. Last element of the InnoSchool learning system are impact questionnaires. Impact questionnaires are intended for assessment of students' progress, and I will show you this progress later on. Now let's move to the content of the game. First of all, what you're seeing, this is the student's interface, it's the student's dashboard. As I mentioned earlier, this game is played online. But it is not only the game that students can do. This learning system contains also out of offline activities that teachers can provide for students in the class. Students gain knowledge step by step and have to go through all the available levels in order. The game can be played in two modes. First is basic and contains 5 levels, and the second is advanced and contains 6 levels. As I already mentioned, there are 2 parts of the learning system. One is online and second is offline. That's why in the next slide, I will talk about first module, not only the first level. Okay, but what does the first module contain? There is a general overview of social entrepreneurship, and that's why the definition of words such as charity, volunteering, innovation, or entrepreneurship are explained in there. Also, there is a difference between social entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs, and via 6 different scenarios, students understand social needs of society. In the second module, the key areas of social entrepreneurship are explained, and there is a list of characteristics of successful social entrepreneurs. In this module, students are asked to identify the sectors and companies in which social entrepreneurs work. And they are asked to share their experience in their team. So this game or this learning system doesn't teach students only theory by memorizing, but it teaches them also some soft skills. In the third module, the main focus is on SWOT analysis. Students have to apply critical thinking and find solutions for their social business ideas. This is the first time when they are asked to present their idea and give and get constructive feedback. In the fourth module, students are introduced to the social business model canvas. Social business model canvas is simply a normal business model canvas, but there are some parts added, or let's say extended, to fit more the social problems and challenges. Students are now faced with marketing and management mix and are asked to fill complex tasks related to marketing strategy for social enterprises. So now we can see that there is a beginning of business model creation for students. In the fifth module, which is actually the last module for the students who are playing in the basic mode, students have to go through the understanding of their target groups and what the target groups needs and how to provide them with the best value. They are continuing in developing their social business model canvas, and they have to define financial objectives and analyze the profits generated. Here the game ends for the students playing the basic mode. However, if the students are playing in advanced mode, they can go to the level 6, which contains mainly a lot of open tasks, as you can see, and they develop their social business plan further with a deep marketing mix analysis. This decision whether the students will play in basic or advanced mode is based on the decision of teacher, based on his experience with his students. By the end of the game, what will students learn? I mentioned some of these already, but let's just conclude it. So first of all, students will have an actual business model plan with which they can go and ask for funding, for example, in a real life. They learn some soft skills such as giving and getting constructive feedback, how to work in team, and how to present. Plus, they are much more socially aware than they were, and they learn also how to manage their time, people, and their finances. Now let me show you some practical information. This game is made for formal education. It's not just some free time activity. Schools can apply it in their curriculum. This game was designed for the students of 2nd to 4th year of secondary schools, but it doesn't mean that the first grades are not allowed to play. It depends only on the decision of teacher of how advanced the students are. The game takes approximately from 15 to 20 lessons, and we're counting with 45-minute lessons, and can be applied to subjects like economics, basics of business thinking, marketing, civics, and for example, in Slovakia, where I am from, some schools even developed a new subject called social entrepreneurship to apply this game. Now let's have a look on how the game works. So first of all, as was already mentioned, right now we are playing the newest version, or let's say we will be playing the newest version, version X. And thanks to Corona, there was a major improvement. First of all, when we started this project, it was before Corona. And our idea was that the game will be played in schools in real time, face-to-face with real people, not with computers. And that it will be played in teams, that students will have to work together and use only one account. But what happened? Well, Corona crisis happened. And suddenly we found out, based on feedbacks from school, that the team mode is not sufficient since the students were forced to study from home and they couldn't actually play this part as team. That's why in the newest X version of InnoSchool game, we introduced the individual mode, and the students can play still in teams, but they can play individually from their own PC from home. This setting can be switched anytime during the game and is based on the teacher's decision. And the best part is the progress is not lost. All the coins gathered are still there, and all the progress and open tasks filled are still there. This interactive series game, it's supposed to be game. So that's why I'm going to show you the gamification elements that were put there in order to increase the attractiveness for students to play. So first of all, after finishing each level or each quiz, students gain coins and supporters. Okay, everybody knows what money is, and here in this game, we call it heroes. But what is supporters? Supporters is a number, or let's say a measure, that shows how successful the student's social business idea is. This measure is based on their knowledge on how they play the quizzes, but also on how they fill the open tasks and teachers evaluates them. And if the teacher evaluates them perfectly, or at least very well, the students gain more and more supporters. And that's not all. After finishing each level, the students gain awards, or diplomas that are gathered in their office. But this is how the office looks like at the beginning. You know, it's shady, the wall is cracking, the furniture is outdated, and it's on purpose because we wanted to give the students the feeling of a real life, that when you're starting as an entrepreneur, you're probably not a millionaire. And we wanted to show them that if they compete, or let's say if they perform well in the game and in the real life, they will start getting money. And with money, they can buy new stuff and they can make their office look like this. But of course, what kind of game would it be if the students couldn't compete? That's why they see their progress in each of the levels, plus they see their standings in a team's progress. And all of through this game, they are guided by one of the 6 scenarios, which is actually a scenario about a social problem. All the time I was talking about students, but what about teachers? They have to manage this game as well. Well, teachers can expect a clear interface in the meanings of for managing classes, for managing students, for assignments, and for providing feedback. Also, they can expect supporting materials in the form of this handbook, as I already mentioned, and the guidelines for working with students. I personally am the tester of the game. So I play the game as a student, but I played it as a teacher. And I have to tell you that the system is wise and it doesn't allow you to click on what you're not supposed to click on. So it's very easy to understand even for the beginners. Here is just some examples of the supporting materials. There is a SWOT analysis or business model canvas. And now let's go to the impact questionnaires and the pilot actions. The pilot actions were in this order, that at first there was an open call for schools, after which we selected the schools from each of the regions in countries. Then we trained the teachers. This was actually before Corona. And as I mentioned, we had these impact questionnaires. But if you want to measure impact, first of all, you need to find out what is the knowledge before playing the game. So that's why at first we measured the knowledge and motivation before applying the pilot version. Then we implemented the pilot version, and then we measured the impact again. After this, there were regional finals because schools could compete against each other in countries. And after that, we gathered feedback from schools and made an evaluation and improvements of our innovative learning system. Maybe you're asking what kind of schools were involved. So here are the specific numbers of schools involved from each of the countries. And as you can see, the biggest number were from vocational schools with a graduate exam. But of course, there were another schools involved, such as business schools or grammar schools. Now let's talk about pilot actions with the aim of impact demonstration, feedback collection, and good practice development. So in the impact demonstration, I already told you a few times that we were measuring something, but what we were measuring? We were measuring the social entrepreneur mindset, skills, behaviors, and awareness about social needs. Altogether, before the game implementation, the more than 2,300 students took part in this impact questionnaire, and after it was more than 1,700 students, out of which is 74% rate of return. Out of these 1,700, there were 757 boys and 962 girls. And now to the final part, what did we measure? So before pilot, 70% of students were familiar with social entrepreneurship, and this number increased, and after the pilot, it was 92%. Before the pilot, 51.6% of students knew the difference between enterprise and social enterprise. And this number increased by more than 30% after playing the game to 88.2%. And for me, the most important that before the pilot, less than 30% of students knew any social entrepreneur in their surroundings. And after playing the game, it was 49% of students who could identify any social entrepreneur in their surroundings, which is great. Of course, these are just the main findings, but what about skills of the students? So there was improvement in areas of financial and economic literacy, project management, teamwork and leadership, analytical skills, social awareness, and competitive thinking. Now let's move on to the feedback collection. We did gather feedback from students, teachers, and of course, partners. I'm not going to talk about the feedback from partners because believe me, there were many meetings and many tasks to do, but we implemented it and the game is very nice functioning right now. I will show you the feedback from students right now. For that, we used a tool called Miro. This tool looks like this. And I'm sorry, this is in Slovak, but I will translate that. On the left, in the green, there are strengths. Then in the middle, there are weaknesses. And on the right side, there was a question in which was the game different about what you usually do in schools. And here are some answers from the students. This game is an eye-opener about reality. This form of learning is more interesting than a simple memorizing. And my most favorite one, learning from a simulation that I can relate to based on my decisions seems as a proper step forward, which is actually really great. Some of the strengths that students mentioned were that the game is visually engaging, that the game is interesting and funny, but most of all, the game was motivating and challenging. And that's what we want students to be. We do not want students to be bored. We want them to be motivated and to be challenged because that's what they are going to do in real life. They are going to be challenged every single day in work. Now let's move on to the good practices development. This good practices development is actually based on the feedback from teachers. And how did it work out? Well, when we started developing this game, nobody counted with Corona crisis. And the schools, when they applied for the pilot actions, they of course, they as well didn't count with Corona crisis. But it still happened, and thank God, or let's say, thank the teachers and the schools that they actually pulled it off. Because they finished the game, and they finished it quite good. And they even had a competition for the best social enterprise. Here are some case studies as an example of the good practices from the teachers in the national languages. This last one is from Slovakia. And if I can cite the teacher, she said that, of course, we were afraid. We were afraid that we as teachers will not be able to handle the game. And we were afraid that our students might not perform well in this game. But do you know what happened? It was actually a huge success, and students from this school, they won the competition. So that's all from me. If you're interested in this game and you would like to play it at your school, or do you have any additional questions, please go check this website. You simply write Interact and InnoSchool, and I'm sure that you will find it. And maybe if you're on doubts and you need more time to think about this, in short time, we will send you an email with instructions on how to apply for a 2-week trial or 2-week demo of this game for your school. Thank you very much for your attention. My name is Simona Starinska, and I hope that you enjoyed this presentation.
Thank you very much, Simona. It was a really beautiful introduction into all the work of the project. I loved very much the game part and the fact that you adapted the learning system for the language and the preferences of the young generation. I would like to ask the participants to write the questions that they have for this topic. if they have curiosities, if they want to know more details, like technical details, maybe out of the box details or behind the scenes, the challenges that you have confronted. So we are waiting for your questions in the Q&A box. If anybody is interested, if one of the everybody wants to address in the text section, or they want to come video and put the question live, maybe.
Yes, of course. Feel free to ask, and I will hope that I will know the answer.
I will start with the questions. So yeah, I'm also in this subject. I'm very passionate about social entrepreneurship, and I would like to ask about the mindset of the young generation. How do they see tackling the social needs? Like, do they see themselves able to do it following your system, following the knowledge that they gained? Like, is it a reality now for them?
Yes, actually, I think that at first they didn't quite understand what is the connection between social challenges and entrepreneurship, but as they played the game, they actually developed some of the businesses, and in the competition, they were supposed to make a short videos introducing their businesses, and the ideas were actually pretty cool. And I think that they didn't see it as a problem to combine such two things, to combine the making profit as a money and helping society. I think that that's what we were like mostly scared about, like if the students will have any ideas, but they are smart kids.
Yes, I've participated in other European projects focused on entrepreneurship, but not on social entrepreneurship. And in the beginning, the students were like, yes, yeah, I would like to, but I don't really think it's possible. And after they finished the program, they were like really determined to implement their ideas. So they knew the step-by-step system. They had all the documentation and knowledge. So they had more trust in themselves to tackle entrepreneurship with professional baggage.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why the game is this eye-opener, because it's more practical information in the game than just normally they would gain through theory, because it's different when you know the definition of what entrepreneurship is, and when you actually try it to write a business plan and to actually compete with somebody else whose idea is better.
Exactly. Yes, so if we have no further questions, we would like to thank you very much for your presentation, and congratulations for your work and involvement. It's a really beautiful project. And I would like to invite Hegedus István, who is the economist and consultant for the Central Trans-Danubian Regional Innovation Agency nonprofit. He has been working on European projects for more than 15 years, and since last year is a project manager for the Hungarian partner in the InnoSchool project. István will also have a presentation of the project sustainability. István, welcome.
Thanks a lot, Joanna, and really thank you for this great introduction. I try share my presentation with you. I hope you can see it now. Yes. And if you don't mind, maybe I will turn my camera off, just ensure a better internet connection. Okay, let's start, maybe try it if it's work. So my task here today is to talk to you a few minutes about the sustainability of the project. What is sustainability? It's a very fashionable term these days We hear it a lot. Most people think of the environment first, as the picture on the slide suggests, but sustainability is much more than that. In the broadest possible sense, sustainability refers to the ability of something to maintain or sustain itself over time. The interpretation also applies to projects. We are on the verge of complementing this project. Wouldn't it be easier to do a few remaining tasks, send a final report to the European Union, and sit back satisfied, waiting, of course, for the final financial payment on the project? Yeah, it would be much more simple. However, sustainability is needed for this project too. Why is it important? You might ask. The answer here is not complicated, because the European Union requires it in return for funding. But of course, this is not the right answer. The right answer is that this partnership has created something great in a few years with a lot of work, and it shouldn't be lost. Three main activities have been identified within the project to ensure the sustainability of this project. The first is the development of action plans for all participating partner countries. The second is the development of a policy guidance document to ensure that the project can be easily replicated outside the partner countries. And the third one is the conclusion of an agreement between the partners and the Technical University of Košice, the developer of the online game, to ensure that the game will continue to operate after the project has ended. Let's start with the action plans. In total, 9 action plans have been prepared for the 9 countries involved in the project, namely Czech Republic, Austria, Slovakia, Romania, Bulgaria, Moldova, Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, of course, Hungary. The aim of the action plan is to identify activities for the years following the end of the project that can respond to the challenges identified during the project. The knowledge and experience for the action plans was gained from the pilot activities and workshops carried out by the partners. The action plans were prepared in the same structure based on a common template, and the project aims to have the action plan adopted by a competent body. It was therefore appropriate to involve this organization in the development process as well. During the implementation of the project, the partners faced many challenges, especially during the pilot activities. Based on these and the discussions with the stakeholders in the workshops in each country, the main challenges were identified. Unsurprisingly, in many cases, countries identified similar challenges. One of the biggest challenges was to integrate InnoSchool learning system into local, regional, or national curricula. Compliance with national and local curricula and the legal and educational policy framework are quite important in this respect. The second identified common challenge is motivating teachers. A low proportion of them are committed to introducing and using a new pedagogical method voluntarily. The reasons are manifold. There have been countries where the reason was the lack of technical skills and knowledge of social entrepreneurship. In other places, overloaded teaching staff, high weekly teaching hours, and administrative burdens were the key factor. And it is very important also to encourage students to use ILS. It is important that they welcome to content as well as the new method and technical solutions. Many conditions have to be met for this to happen. It is essential that teacher presents each module in a well-prepared and interesting way. It is important that teaching is managed in the right way. They have a sense of achievement and receive continuous feedback. To conclude the list of challenges, we have to mention the issue of the IT infrastructure in schools. Many places, outdated equipment and insufficient number of computers and lack of adequate internet access make the use and implementation of ILS quite difficult in many countries. The actions planned by the partners are clearly seeking solutions to these challenges they have identified. Several approaches have been developed to integrate the InnoSchool learning system into the curriculum. These include both top-down and bottom-up activities. As a top-down activity, the mandatory integration of ILS into the curriculum is one of the proposed one. However, most activities emphasizes bottom-up approaches, building on the freedom of institutions and teachers in terms of optional subject, leisure activities, or any optional methods. There are also many actions to promote the ILS system. These actions focus on marketing and promotion activities, information for schools, teachers, or parents. It is essential that the campaigns are well targeted, highlighting the substantive methodological and conceptual benefits of learning and using this system. Given the challenges, it is very important to motivate both teachers and students. Various motivational competitions have been highlighted here, as well as the validation of credits for teachers in-service training if they participate in a school information day. The use of ILS by schools or pupils also requires IT infrastructure, and the actions also make recommendation on this respect. One such interesting idea is the Adopt a School idea. This program aims to link companies that scrap their computers and digital equipment every 2 or 3 years with schools. These devices can then go to the schools, which can be a win-win situation for both parties. The next one is the policy guidance. This document is a kind of summary of the project. It contains important information that may be interest to an external interested party. Interested parties will have access to information that will help them to make use of the results of this project in their own area. Despite its name, it's not necessarily intended for decision makers or policy makers, although it is obviously useful for them as well. It can also be used by an interested teacher, school, or any other educational organization. This document consists of the following main parts, which I will not go into detail here due to lack of time. The first part is the introduction, then the importance of entrepreneurship education, the InnoSchool learning system. This is a detailed description of the method developed and in all its aspects. Impact of ILS implementation. This section describes the results achieved by the students who participated in the pilot activity. This was assessed through input and output questionnaires, as Simona mentioned it before. Action plan development. I talked about this in more detail earlier, and there is a conclusion part, of course. The final chapter of the policy guidance document is a short conclusion and, let's say, an encouragement to the interested reader. At the end of this guidance, we encourage the reader to contact ILS developers to try and incorporate ILS into entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship training material. It outlines the possibilities for integration and show positively that teachers in all countries have had the freedom to find some way of using this system. And the last one, the service level agreement. The aim of this service level agreement is to ensure the free and bug-free operation of the serious game component for the next 5 years after project ends. This is an agreement between the partner developing the online game, namely Technical University of Košice, and all partners. The agreement details the rights and obligations of the parties, the issue of ownership, and many other important things. The preparation of this document was much more complicated than we first thought. The most difficult part was clarifying and drafting the data protection issues, which is a separate, really long annex to this agreement. I can say that this document is a really, really important element of sustainability. And I would like to make an important comment at the end of my presentation. Forget everything I have said so far. These activities presented are very useful, but they are worthless if the project partners are not committed to sustaining the results of this project. So my main message is that sustainability is our responsibility. And that's all from my side. I really thank you for your attention. And if you have any question, feel free to ask me. I try to answer.
Istvan, thank you very much. Great presentation. We want to ask you again to write your questions in the text below, and we will address them to the speaker. Questions related to the topic, the challenges that they face, maybe some advice, and I will start to break the ice with one question. What were the ways that you identified in Hungary the best ways to implement this learning system?
In Hungary, we're working with the secondary schools and vocational secondary schools, and they have a subject in grade 10, as far as I remember, which called entrepreneurship. And the teachers implemented this InnoSchool learning system into this subject during the school years.
Mm-hmm. And I understood from your presentation that first you encourage the schools to try as a test, right? To see the features, to make a trial of the game, and then to decide if it's suitable for their system and their approach, and if the students like them, they should implement it. What's their initial reaction? What have you encountered?
Usually first time, as every new method, solution or initiatives, they were a little bit afraid from use this kind of new technology and new method for the learning into the learning system. But when they tried it, they have seen that it's not a really complicated thing. It's a really well designed game, and it's really easy to use for students and for teachers as well. So they were, after it, they were really liked it.
Mm-hmm. You were saying that you had to find ways to motivate teachers and students as well. How do you motivate students?
I think the best way,
the games, the benefits and the rewards inside the game.
Yes, gamification is one way, because it's, let's say, their world where they are really comfortable. But I think the best way to motivate the students is the competition. They really like to compete each other and other classes or other student groups, and they really enjoyed this kind of challenges.
Mm-hmm. Good one. We have a question from the audience. Is there any training for the teacher, and if so, how long will it take?
Yes, there are lots of training materials elaborated during the project, and we will have training session for teachers, of course. And it was 2 or 3 times in online it was an online training, and they was invited, and they have the possibility to try this game, and they have really a chance to ask any questions. Then they have a really detailed guidance how to use this online game.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and one more question: how are you going to sustain this project?
Yeah, we had many schools who took part in the pilot action, and they are really enjoyed it, and we hope that they will continue to use this game. And at the same time, we would like to invite other schools and involve to this IRS system. Our plan to do this through info days and workshops and any other ways. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. István, I have a personal question. What was your favorite part of this project?
My favorite part, I think the most enjoyable part, of course, the game. It was really an interesting challenge for me personally to see and try this game. And I think this is a really well designed one. So it's quite interesting and enjoyable to play this game for me as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Maybe the next step would be to take it to the metaverse. Yeah. Thank you very much for your presentation and answering all the questions. Yeah, it's great to learn about social entrepreneurship. It's great to play the simulation in the game. It's great to gather all the knowledges and the points and to see how it could be like. But it's another thing to see it in reality. The organizers of the conference have a really special video for you, one that shows the reality of the impact of social entrepreneurship. Let's view it.
Îmi place să fiu mai liber. Nu mi-a plăcut niciodată un program strict. Din păcate, nu mi-a plăcut nici școala.
This is George. Some of you probably feel the same way as him. We intend to change this. By the end of this story, you will see how.
Din punctul meu de vedere, sincer, eu nu trebuia să fac o facultate. Eu am fost împins să merg la facultate de familie, de societate. Am stat în Arad 6 ani de zile, am terminat facultatea, am lucrat tot felul. Eu eram în Arad și gândul îmi stătea la munte. Societatea îmi spunea nu, că tu trebuie să fii la oraș, că să ai cravată la gât. Eu nu sunt omul de cravată la gât și pantofi în picioare. Eu când veneam în weekend acasă, mergeam la munte. Când am coborât duminica de la munte să mă întorc înapoi la Arad, simțeam că îți dus așa de zgardă, că nu știu să mă lege iar. Și am zis, eu nu mai vreau așa ceva. La ora 11 noaptea mi-am făcut bagajele, am lăsat servici, am lăsat casă și am plecat la munte. La ora 3 dimineața am ajuns în vârful muntelui, mi-am instalat cortul și n-am mai coborât de acolo o lună de zile. Acolo am învățat foarte mult. Eu zic așa, Muntele îți formează caracterul. Nu dădeam seama încotro o să o iau sau ce o să fac. M-am venit de la Arad și nu știam ce am de făcut. Până la urmă am zis, o iau de la zero, de muncă este în țara asta, Doamne fi lăudată, atâta o condiție mi-am impus, dacă îi să lucru undeva, să lucru la munte. După luna asta, cât am stat eu acolo singur pe munte, m-am angajat în zona Bărtop, la o cabană, am vorbit cu un prieten care avea o cabană. Nu ai nevoie de un om pe acolo, orice. De la spălător de vase mari, în 3 ani de zile am învățat fiecare etapă și am plecat de acolo, să zic așa, ca și administrator al cabanei. Între timp m-am căsătorit, banii din nuntă, alții își cumpără mașină, alții dau un avans la un apartament, fiecare cum consideră. Noi ne-am mutat aici în sat, cu banii ăia. Cel mai important pentru mine e când m-am trezit după prima noapte dormită aici. Când m-am trezit era o liniște, așa, nu știu, nu auzeai nimic. Și am zis, eu de aici nu mai plec. Deci a fost clar că ăsta e locul meu. Nu a fost ușor. Nu prea știam mare lucru. Numai că aveam ambiția asta să le învăț. Cea mai mare satisfacție a fost că atunci, în prima lună, am făcut, nu știu, vreo 60 de borcane cu dulceață, am plecat în zona turistică la Vârtop și le-am vândut atunci într-o zi pe toate. Am venit de acolo așa încântat, am zis, da, asta trebuie să fac, repede. Visul meu a fost, încă am venit, atunci, în primul an, în primii 2 ani, am făcut o asociație, vreau să adun mai multe persoane în asociație, să lucrăm împreună, adică bun, 3 persoane, 3 producători din sat să facă zacuscă, să ocupă de partea de borcani, alții să facă brânzeturile, lactatele, tot ce ține, alții partea de mezeluri să se ocupe în cadrul asociației sau cooperativei. Și nu am reușit să fac lucrul ăsta. Ai de lucru mentalitatea omului, adică ei nu-ți mai dau încredere. O zis și eu, toată lumea ne-a promis și nimeni nu a făcut nimic. Cum de ce să te credem pe tine prunc la 26 de ani? Am abandonat ideea. Și am zis, cred că trebuie să merg pe puterea exemplului și să nu mai fac eu, să zic așa, pâinea, să o rog pe o tanti din sat să-mi facă pâinea. Dacă îi zic să facă 10 pâini, să le cumpăr cu riscul că eu 5 poate trebuie să le dau la poștă, că n-am avut la cine le vinde. Dar o lună, un an, îi demonstrez că plătesc și la un moment dat o să vadă mai mulți exemplul ăsta și atunci cred că o să-i aduc împreună. Și încet, asta a fost. Adică să încep să contribui așa, aici, la lucruri mărunte. Și lucrurile alea mărunte au avut mai mult impact. Și am identificat un punct de la care să plec, bivul. De aici am început să lucrez pe partea de lactate și partea de mezeluri, să servim în restaurant și să promovăm bivul. păcate, la noi în țară e cam pe cale de dispariție bivolul. E un băiat care de la 3 bivoli, când am venit, avea 3 bivoli, 6 ani, are acum vreo 20 și ceva de bivoli. Deci suntem pe drumul cel bun. După aia, fructe, legume. Când e momentul, tot ce se poate cumpăra din sat, surplusul oamenilor, gospodăriilor, vine aici. Nu că n-aș putea cumpăra din alte părți sau nu-s bune, dar ideea mea e să lăs bani aici, la producătorul din zonă, să nu mă îndepărtez foarte mult de colegi. După aia am început și eu să mai citesc, mi-a mai spus unul altul, bă, George, asta e un antreprenoriat social ce faci tu. Atunci am început să citesc, să văd mai exact ce înseamnă. Atunci am zis, da, mă, cam asta fac și mi-a plăcut mai mult proiectul. Tot ce am reușit până acum să fac aici în sat, eu sigur că dacă porneam cu o educație mai bună, eram mai atent la anumite lucruri la început, care, din păcate, eu nefiind atent la ele, am pierdut destul de mult. Și o trebuie să le învăț pe pielea mea, să mi le corectez, să văd de ce nu funcționează, să mă documentez, să citesc. Nici nu știam mare lucru încotro. Unde trebuie să citesc, ce trebuie să citesc, de unde trebuie să mă apuc. Eu m-aș bucura pentru copiii mei să iasă din școală cu câteva noțiuni măcar. Eu cred că în fiecare cătun, sătuc mic, ar apărea un copil, că acum e copil care o să facă ceva și nu o să se mai depopuleze zonele. Pentru că ei nu pleacă, cum să zic, că nu-și mai doresc să stea. Pleacă că ei din educația lor consideră că nu au ce să facă aici. Sunt mândru și că am reușit să construim locația asta aici. E o investiție de 400.000 de euro care era un vis. Dar sentimental, de grădiniță, am reușit să o redeschid. La început ziceam că nu mi-a plăcut școala. Și mi-am dat seama că am reușit și cu grădinița și îmi place acum adică pun accent eu, personal, care nu-mi plăcea școala, cu un accent mare pe educație. Cum am zis, nu că nu-mi plăcea școala, nu-mi plăcea sistemul.
This was George's journey. You might have some things in common or know someone who does. Or you just want to help your community. Make an impact and learn how to build a social entrepreneurial business, thus being part of the change. For you and people like you, partners from 9 European countries have come together to create InnoSchool learning system. InnoSchool aims to develop the entrepreneurial skills of high school students by combining traditional in-class learning with an online serious game. To find out more about our project, visit our site.
Yes, so this was the beautiful video with a real-life example, of a business that is transforming a community. So imagine if this model of social entrepreneurship would be magnified, would be amplified, would be taught in school and then implemented in real life. I think that business is a force for good and can be used as a force for good to transform communities and create a new generation of superheroes the young students that will leave the schools to implement their projects, their vision of changing the world and making money at the same time can transform communities. So this was the first part of the conference, of the online conference. We would like to invite you to take a 15-minute break, and then we will see you back here for the panel discussion in the second part of the conference. See you in 15.